Well, welcome back, everybody. It's
I'm
a
back.
casual Friday. I'm going to actually update my title there. There you go. Um, man, wow. There's so much to cover today. I feel like the week, I don't know about you, but why don't you start first? Like, what has been your week?
Well, I am so glad just to have this moment to be present. I have been on a full out scramble, it feels like. I was down in Dallas for a couple days and great
Mm,
stuff, but then came
yeah.
back and you have to get caught up, and it's been just one appointment after another, after another, after another, and drive across town to see a client there and come back for a Zoom here. And it's Friday. Yes, 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 yes. And it's so funny. It's like the cobbler has no shoes. I train and teach and help my clients learn to be mindful, learn to be present, learn to
Yeah.
pause. But what
Mm,
happens? And it's a beautiful thing because, being busy feeds my ego because I must be important because I'm busy. And but it's a slippery slope. Then my life is going by and I'm not doing some of the things that are important to
mm,
me, like hanging out with my people, my family, my
yeah.
wife, my kids. Uh,
Speaking of your wife, how was her birthday last weekend?
It was wonderful. We had a great time. I kept surprising her with new gifts along the course of the day. It was good.
Oh, my
Yes.
husband does the same thing. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
nice.
We got out and
Oh,
had a nice bite. We have a nice a restaurant very near us on a lake, so they have nice uh, patio, all with windows and outdoor dining in the summer. And it's just wonderful. One of my favorite places. So it was great. Yeah. Thanks
that's
for
cool.
asking.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. A birthday is a really special moment, right? It's like you celebrate, the year that passed, and then you kind of like look forward to the year ahead. And you're like, okay, so what do I want to get done this year?
It's that recognition. That recognition, it's almost exactly what I was talking about. We lose sight of the recognition when we're caught in the day to day today. In fact, I wrote a blog 2 days ago. I called it 36,000 feet. And my dad was making a joke about it. He's like, I called him. I talk to my father every day. He's like, I asked him, how's your morning going? He said, I'm at 36,000 feet. And what I meant by that in the story was that at 36,000 feet, the world looks different. And my daily
Mhm.
problems are gone, and I'm not caught up. And I feel a lot more in tune with the possibilities and the potential and the options in front of me. I feel like I have, like, the world is right there for me to grab. And then when I land and get caught up in the day to day, and I live at 6 feet, and I just lose sight of that vision. And the vision is so important, like birthdays. It's so important to stop and to recognize everything that's been created in the last year, but also where you're going.
Mm.
Most folks, and I fall into this too, with the day to day and the churn, I fall into being on autopilot, and I don't pilot my life intentionally. I just react and hope for the best. But man, when you have clarity of where you want to go and who you want to be, life shows up. Life
Yeah.
shows up. Yeah.
Yeah.
How has
Life
life
does show
shown
up.
up for you, Melinda? Talk about how life has shown up for you.
Life is showing up with like not, I mean, life, there is a season where life showed up with flashlights and you're like, what? Blocking, blinding, but like life is showing up with the sun and nothing is hiding in the shadows. And so it's really kind of fun
Mm,
to get just the same information, but just absorbing it in a different context. And that's really fun. And that's where life is kind of showing up for me. And the
how
level of
what's it actually
awareness.
look like?
Okay, so my coach says this. She's like, repeat yourself a million times. And so for a strategist, it's kind of like putting nails to a chalkboard when you tell them that, because it's like, I don't want to repeat myself. I don't like to repeat myself. But now I understand why it's important to repeat ourselves, because wherever you are, wherever I was in the journey of, self improvement, wisdom development, ideation, creation, like whatever I am doing in my business for my life, that message means something different. And so, even though I'm hearing the same message over and over and over and over again, the message hasn't changed, but now there's a a different level of unlocking that's happening in me. And it's really, really fun. And so that's how life is showing up for me, is giving me permission just to stay on this path and
Mm.
enjoy the view, knowing that everything is going to be okay. Like through all of it, it's going to be a hot summer. It's going to be a terrible winter. But guess what? We're going to be okay because we're just going to enjoy the season that we're in. So,
Well,
um,
and I love that framework because I always, when my mind falls into that hot summer, I lived in North Carolina. I was saying it's ungodly hot, but I call others out when I heard somebody say very close to me, honey, um, it's miserable outside. I'm like, no, it's not
mm,
miserable outside. It is what it is. You're bringing the misery to the party.
ooh,
It's not,
yeah,
it's not ungodly cold. It's just cold. It is what it's Earth. Put on some
yeah,
clothes. Now, for
yeah.
me, I blame though. It's not about me. It's when at some point you can only get so naked when you're in North Carolina and it's the middle of summer and it's like I want to peel my skin off. So that I
Dude,
blame.
I live in Florida. Don't talk to me about heat, okay? You
Yeah,
try to
I
keep a curl
understand.
in your hair in the summer, okay?
Yeah, right. It's time to go for a new look. Time to go for a new look. So what does that mean? I'm kind of curious. We talk about life showing up. Life
Yeah.
shows up when you take my experience. If you step out of your routine and you you trust and you step into a new moment and you step outside of your comfort zone and do something different, amazing things happen. And that's my
100%.
real question when I say life showing up. So, what amazing thing has
Oh,
happened for
yeah.
you beyond logic?
Beyond logic. Oh my gosh. What should I pick first? Gosh.
It might be a small thing.
I think I shared this story with you. Um, so yeah, I think I shared this story with you. So uh just like a few months ago, I was planning on going to a huge event in and I had to, like get secure a flight, a hotel, the tickets and everything like that. And I thought to myself, man, I really, really want to go, but I really don't know how I'm gonna go. Um, the schedule was not allowing
Mm.
me like it was just like I had meetings, I had clients, I had like just it was just full. I'm like, there's no way I can go. And and I remember what my coach said. She says, commit to the destination. And when she said that, I was like, okay, what do I want? Right? Because if I keep telling people that you can create any future that you want, any life that you desire, and I'm not practicing it, it's like, I don't want to be hypocrite. So I'm like, okay, what do I want? I want to go. Okay, great. So as soon as I mentally gave myself permission to do that, and then I started moving towards, okay, well, I'm going. So I started telling people, I am going. I am going to be there. I hadn't booked anything, Kevin. Like I hadn't done any of the things that every woman ever does to plan to go anywhere. I
Mhm.
hadn't packed yet. I hadn't thought about like anything. And I was going to be gone for more than a week. So it was just like, it was a thing, but I hadn't done it. All I had done is tell myself I was going and commit to the destination. And about 2 weeks before the event, I was supposed to fly out. When I was supposed to fly out, I'm like, crap, I need to get my ticket. And I was talking to another client and she was saying, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to the event. I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, I can give you a ticket. I'm like, okay, well, sounds good. And by the way, since I'm going, we can go ahead and cancel that meeting. The meeting apart that week that I was supposed to go. And it kind of just happened that way where it was just like another meeting and another event and it just got rescheduled and so by the end of that week leading up to it, my calendar was completely blank and I was able to go freely go. Now, I didn't instigate it. Like I didn't all I said was I am going. I was telling myself, I would tell
Mhm.
people right, appropriately. But those that came to me and say, like, I need to reschedule my meeting. I need to go ahead and cancel it. And we're going to go ahead and do this other thing. that all worked all on its own without me interrupting it. And that's like the miracle. It's just like I remember getting on the flight, which by the way, I got the flight ticket the morning of the event or the that I was supposed to fly out. And so I'm in on the plane and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, like this just all came together because I made a decision. Like it wasn't about the how. It was just the what. Like what did I want? And cool. So here are all the opportunities for you to go. And I think you know, when that happened, I reflected back on so many other miracles in my life and specifically in business. I'm like, how did that work? Because I just made a decision. Like, you know, early on when I was starting my business, and I freelanced for 13 years before I went full time. And when I finally made a decision to go full time, I was like, I don't know how to make a full time salary in my business. I don't know how to do that.
Hmm.
And it was time to invest in a coach. What with like when you're leaving corporate America, you don't know to like hire a coach, right? So it's just like,
Hmm.
why would I know to hire a coach? I was just having a conversation with someone who was ahead of me, and she was regretting not getting a coach early on. So I'm gonna get a coach. So I call the coach, have a consultation. She's way out of my budget. And but I had made that decision. And so what the investment I was looking to get to hire her came so quickly after I said, I'm ready to move forward. I didn't have it, but I had it. It's just the weirdest thing. It's like these decisions like unlock an entire world of opportunities if we just say yes, if we just go forward. And it sounds opposite from a lot of our programming. Like,
Hmm.
well, you have to have it first, then you can take action. You have to save the money, then you can take action. And that's not how God works. God's like, just trust that I am like ahead of this. Um I can already see, and if this is yours, you will have it. And so perfect timing is based on his timing, not ours. So it's just like all of that it kind of just awakened me in a different way. And so now I say yes to things and make decisions not based off of what the facts are telling me, but what based off my faith. And that has like really propelled me forward in business in my life.
It's powerful. It's absolutely powerful. And I think, you say it's weird. At some point, it does feel weird. But the reality is, I think we try to project our logic onto the world. And the world's not a logical place. It doesn't operate on our laws of logic. In fact, it's beyond, there's things that we don't even understand. But I know what I'm hearing you say, and I can take it back to the Bible, right? It all begins with
Yeah.
the word. Oh, when you had the word, you made the decision, and then you vocalized that.
Oh
It
yeah.
became true. And then the world kind of magnetized towards that. I've had so many experiences. The hard thing is, I've had so many experiences where that happens, but when you're in a routine, it's hard to, and it's comfortable and it's safe. That becomes the enemy to truly going to the next level. And how do you step outside of that to say yes in the face of comfort, in the
Mhm.
face of being okay? And somehow we get in the way of our own exceptional nature and in the way of our own excellence. So I love what you're saying. And I think I mentioned this before, the first teaching of the Buddha: with your thoughts you make
Yeah.
the world. It's not
Yeah.
just an interesting saying, you're saying that's the way things work. And
Really
yeah,
work.
the
Yeah.
the word I pull apart a little bit, like having faith. It's like it's not even faith anymore. It's knowing. It's not even faith. It's just knowing this is the way it is. When you put the thought in your head, the world responds. And you don't
I
have to
think it
even have faith. It's just truth.
right. And I think eventually
Powerful.
I'll get to that point, right? Like I'll get to the point where it feels when I make decisions like that, it feels like I'm just going to Publix or the grocery store. I'm just getting in
Mhm.
my car that I know that's there. And I'm gonna go to the grocery store that I know is there, and I'm going to buy something and that is know there, and I'm gonna pay with money that I know is on my card. Like just that knowing. But I think that the process of where I'm at right now is
Mhm.
I blind faith. It's like I just have to like break away the subconscious programming that's been here for
Mhm.
over 40 years. And
Generations. It
then
was passed to you.
it was I mean, so my husband's a theologian, right? And so
Mhm.
we were talking about Israel, and like he was explaining to me that Egyptians still today, many of them that still practice the same practices still today do not own anything because of like how things were done back then. I'm like, that is insane. Like just they don't practice owning anything because they didn't own anything. And so this is just how we live.
Mhm.
This it's not out of ordinary. It's like someone would say to me, you know, like for me, the cell phone, it doesn't really matter. Like I could leave my cell phone at home all the time. My husband yells at me all the time. But um for someone else who needs to have their phone with them, it's like that's abnormal to travel to go to another country without your phone,
Mhm.
right? It's just like so. And so I think that there's like these stages where you go from awareness to, well, I just gotta believe because it happens, and then to just, well, it just is. And so I'm in the process of what just is. Like I'm just
Mhm.
figuring out to just believe that it's going to show up, and it always does. When it doesn't show up, it's because I have a confused mind. And it's like, oh man, I could do this or I could do this. I don't really know. And whenever I have that thought, it just seems like the world stops around me. Like, opportunities don't flow as easily. It just seems like everything is stuck. I feel stuck. And I'm like, I need to make a decision. And so once I make a decision, then I'm back into flow. And it's so cool. It's like unlocking those principles or the roadmap, if you will. It's like it makes it so easy. And it just all goes back to um, my why. It's just like why do like things happen? Like say for example, there was an emergency for my dog last year. Um, Link, he just out of the ordinary. We were in the living room, just about to go to bed, and he just collapsed. And it was terrifying. He's never had any health experience, issues before. And we didn't know what to do. We're just like, what is this? Like, I don't even know. So we just jumped in the car and took him to the ER. The whole time he was crying. His entire muscles and tendons were like frozen in position, like his arms and legs were completely out. And he was just screaming at the top of his lungs. And it was terrifying to get to the ER. And they say that he had an erupted disc. I'm like, he's 5 years old. Like he's not, he's not old. He's a young little pup, like 5 years old. And they were shocked. And just a day later, we had to go into emergency surgery and take care of it. And had we not moved so quickly, it would have been a different story because the surgeon came out and said that he had blood clots around that specific sock, and they had to eliminate that in addition to the calcium that had eroded around it. It took him. He's still recovering, and so it's been taking him a long time to start walking again. But we went to his one of his post-op uh, appointments, and the surgeon says he's a miracle. Like dogs in his situation do not walk again. And I'm like, well, because when we were in the ER crying our eyes out, my husband and I were like, thank you, God, because he is going to walk again and he's going to run again. And that's what our focus was. Had it been on anything else, like, oh my gosh, she's going to die, da, 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 like it might have been a different scenario. And so just like focusing on something. And I'm like, how did that happen? That he's a miracle. And I believe it's because of the belief. It was like that. this is what we want. This is the outcome that we desire. And we're going to just work towards that outcome, like as if we're expecting it to work that way.
Well, I love what you're saying. One, at the beginning, it's about complete clarity. A confused mind doesn't create the desired result. It doesn't know what that is. So starting with that, I think, is absolutely clear. And then focusing on what you want, not what you don't want.
Yeah.
And so many times our mind can move to focusing on what we don't want. I don't want him to die. I don't want him to have problems. Focus on what you want. The mind doesn't know the difference. It just goes towards the thing that you put in it. Whether you say I want it or don't, it's going to create that. And that becomes magnetic. A quick story. And he's doing well now.
He's doing great. He thinks he runs, and it's hilarious to watch him run now. But he's doing amazing. And so I just wanted to say, like, that's where it's really started. I was like, this miracle, how did that miracle just happen? How did he just do something surgeons, like one of the top best surgeons in veterinarian health, said that would never happen? And he did it. Like, we didn't do anything magical. It wasn't anything at all. It was just, we just followed the directions, but it was our thoughts, right? And so I said, okay, I want to reverse engineer this. How do I do this without emergency and like terror and scare and fear? So just like unplugging and putting it back together in a way that I can actually control it and know that I'm controlling it. Because we're controlling it, right? We're controlling our lives, but we just don't know that we're controlling our lives. So just figuring that part out, it's like, oh man, this is so easy. I can never fail. Like, even if it doesn't go the way that I envisioned it in my mind, right? It's still going to turn out way better if I focus on the thing that I actually want, opposed to the thing I don't want.
That's absolutely, it's so interesting when you think about the notion of failure. Because failure it's not a state of being. It's an event that happened. It's an occurrence. It's something, you have an expectation. The thing didn't match your expectation. You call it a failure. And if you could let go of that and be more in the flow, like you said, and just recognize that it's our attachment to our ideas that create the suffering that we experience, and just be in that flow, it's amazing what happens. It's like saying yes all the time and kind of letting go of your expectation and not getting frustrated when things don't go your way. Just be curious. The universe is providing what it provides. Show up and be curious and go with it. And it's amazing what doors open that you would never experience otherwise, especially if you're being operated by fear, which so many of us are. Fear of scarcity, or not having, or doing what we should, or not being good enough, or being a failure, or whatever the story is, being unlovable, being worthless. It's all these stories that kind of linger, like got passed down. I think of it as our ghosts. And the ghosts have so much power over us that they don't need to, because there's apparitions. And to be able to clearly, regardless of how you feel about it, even if you have fear, to have that conviction that you demonstrated, that you talked about, to have that clarity, regardless of how it feels, and to know that this is what's happening. I'm going this direction. And you can have the fear, you can have the anxiety, have the shame, whatever. It doesn't matter. I am going this direction. And it's amazing what happens, how quickly you grow when you surrender to the moment that way, and just know beyond knowing, know that this is the direction I'm going. And I don't know what the timeline is, but I know this is where I'm going. That 100%. Kind of clarity is magic.
I think that honestly, what I've been thinking about lately is choices is actually delay masked as decisions. Like someone will say, well, I choose to do this. And then if that doesn't work, then I'll go this way. And it's like, but so you're not making a decision. You realize that you're just staying stuck, right?
There's no
you will not move forward. You have to go through you have to just say, no matter what happens, this is the path that I am going in, and it is what it is. No, I have no other options. This is what I'm deciding. I'm decisioning.
So it's such an interesting dance, because I think of myself, like when I moved back to Michigan, I started a business. town I
Yeah.
never been in, right? Wife and kids in tow. Mom stayed home with the kids. There was one option. It's only going one direction and one direction only. There's that, and it opened the floodgates.
Yeah.
On the other side, I love to have lots of options in my life, but I realize that when I have all the options open, I don't go forward any particular direction. And it's salacious. I love all the options. It's like going to the grocery store. I
Oh
love to
yeah.
shop because there's all these cans and bottles on the shelves and it's so shiny and everything's a new opportunity. But if I don't put something in the cart, I
Mm.
end up not being fed. You have to make a decision. That means I
Ooh.
don't put everything in the cart. I have to say no to a lot of things on the shelf.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting though that balance, how we make decisions. Because I'm a guy who loves the abundance of all kinds of options. But when I have too many options, I've made no decision and nothing
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So it's been that one of the hardest lessons for me was saying no to all these things. And the way I did that for me was not really even to say no, but to throw myself into a situation where I had to survive. Throw
Oh,
myself in a
100%.
situation where I had nothing, nobody, no money, nothing. And it's like, okay, now let's see what I'm
Okay.
made of.
Oh yeah, at the end of the day, the theme for everybody that's listening is not to prepare and wait until you're ready. It's just to jump in,
Well, except for
head
children.
forward.
Except for children. Never have children until you're completely ready. The world would die out if that were the case, right? Because nobody's ever ready.
Right, right.
It's about that
Right.
risk. And the great entrepreneurs have there's a difference in how they operate. I think
Oh
relative to
yeah.
risk, the risk aversion isn't as strong.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a dysfunction that we have as entrepreneurs, our ability to step into and not take risks and throw
Yeah.
security out the window and safety out the window and laugh in the face of having nothing and in the face of our own demise, and just to be able to
Yeah.
almost have that meta perspective and a sense of humor around the
Yeah.
game that is life, and this kind of narrative our culture spins about the house in the suburbs with the tire swing and the three kids and what it
But
means to
here's
be successful.
but here's the thing, what's really funny about that is like that, you're talking about the house with the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the 1.5 dog and the spouse and everything. And I laugh about that because I really think that's like there. I think honestly that's not the average American. I think that's the average entrepreneur. I
Ah,
think that definition of like that, I think they misaligned what that looks like, because every entrepreneur I know, like that's what their life looks like. Similarly, not obviously the way pick a fence perfectly, but that's what they end up with is the life that they desire, that they want, opposed to one that's manufactured for them.
isn't that something, to live life with
Yeah.
strong decisions that aren't driven and dictated by the emotion of the moment, aren't driven and
Mhm.
dictated by our reactivity to what we're perceiving, but are instead aligned with a strong conviction, even if the decisions along the way are uncomfortable, as they will be, because it will require us to grow and to evolve outside of the person we are today. And when you
So
do
cool.
that, you start to live life on your terms. That is it. That's it,
Bravo.
right?
That's
And then you
good.
do things like go to Greece with your family for spring break, which is what I'm doing
Yeah.
next week. I won't be able to
I
be here
know.
for our
I
call next
know.
week because we'll be
I
in Greece.
know.
We'll be going
Yeah.
hanging out in the old the Greek Forum where Socrates and Plato used to get into discussions and contemplate the
So
nature of
cool.
democracy and of reality and of society and culture. And I
Yeah.
will, you better believe, I'll be steeped deep in those ideas. I've been reading a lot of Plato lately and trying to
I love
get my
Plato.
mind
Yeah.
ready for what's to come.
He's an interesting character for sure. I feel like he just knew things before people knew things. Like, I'm trying to remember like one story that he journaled about, when he had to escape, and all he took with him was like a pan or something like that. He just like left everything else. He was just like, as long as I can feed myself, I can go ahead and recreate everything that I've ever lost or something like that. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's a powerful character. And oh man, you're gonna have so much fun. So where are
Mhm.
you going specifically?
Oh,
Do you
going to
know? Like, are you just kind
Athens.
of
Yep, going to
okay?
Athens and Hydra and Nafplion
Ooh,
in the Peloponnese.
ooh,
Taking the
wow, that's
kids
gonna be
there,
so
it's
much
just a dream.
fun.
I've always wanted. I've never been to Athens, so I'm very excited, and to take my children to go. And now all the kids are in my kids very much into mythology, and there's a lot of books for teenage
Oh
boys
yeah,
about Greek mythology, Thor, not Thor, Zeus, and all the other.
Zeus.
Might be a little more Norwegian or what have you, but it's interesting. I'm very excited about it. So
So
hopefully it'll
cool.
help me shift my perspective, and I'll be at 36,000 feet looking down at the world, contemplating the grand nature of it all, and then landing in this ancient cradle of Western civilization to help me
Mhm.
get my perspective straight.
I can't wait to hear from like your thoughts and just your experiences. That's gonna be so fun. I mean, just that part of the world, just being
Mhm.
there. It's a different energy, different environment culturally, but then also just all the history that you get
It's
to bring back with
thousands of
you.
years old. We don't
Yeah.
even understand. They don't own their homes there. They see themselves as caretakers for
Yeah,
the state
stewards.
while they're there. Yeah,
Yeah.
stewards, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
fantastic to go with that perspective. And when we have a disposable society here, they
I know.
don't see the world that way.
Mm-mm. So cool. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's awesome.
So I look forward to our next connection when we're able
I
to
know.
share maybe some other perspectives with each
Yeah.
other and with the folks listening around some ancient ideas, because there's really nothing new under the sun. I've discovered, what have we known to be
So
true for thousands of years that we may have lost sight of? For me, that's
mhm.
the quest I'm on.
Patterns. I love that. Yeah,
Mhm,
100%. We should totally dive into patterns.
mhm.
As a strategist, it's like it's my playground. So that sounds amazing. Um, cool. So like takeaways. So if somebody's listening to this and just like hearing all of this, thinking, oh my gosh, how do I get into flow? And how do I make decisions so that my outcome is what I want opposed to what I don't want? What we would we prescribe for them?
In the same way that a body, when exercised over time consistently, strengthens and gains muscle mass, I think that our minds, when rehearsed and exercised and strengthens over time. So to create the vision of where you're going, to write down, to draw out the vision of where you're going, and to keep coming back to that over and over. My experiences when I've done that, and I've been completely clear of my vision, and I keep coming back to it. Again, I have it in my mirror in the morning, have it on my car dash, have it at work over and over and over and over again. And as time goes by, the vision isn't even a vision anymore, because it's the same thing when I look away from the vision. It's what the
Yeah.
world has become.
Yeah.
I evolve towards it, small steps. And pretty soon, the vision that was way out there is the way I'm living my life. The
Yeah.
mind is such a powerful thing, gain clarity of the vision. And when I talk about clarity, using all your senses, using your internal mind's eye, ear, nose, all of it, and imagine what it's going to be like, what it's going to feel like. And I'll practice that feeling of what it's going to be like when you achieve that state for yourself. When you make that $1 million, or when you buy that new home, or you sell your second business, or whatever it is, just imagine and practice feeling that. Practice seeing that in your mind's eye.
Mhm.
For me, it's like having a symbol of when that happens, I'm going to buy myself a new watch, and see
Mhm.
yourself in your mind's eye putting that new watch on, and knowing the watch represents everything else in the time that has gone by.
Mhm.
These kinds of things, I think, become anchors and help us reprogram ourselves from the programming we inherited in the first 3 to 5 years of our life, and allow us to live life on our terms.
Yeah. 100%. That's like spot on. 100%. I would add one last thing, record
Yes.
yourself saying it. and
And
so that you
listen.
can and listen to it on a regular basis daily.
Mhm.
Just make it a part of like you brushing your teeth or something. And so why
Every day when
apply
you
that?
brush your teeth. How about that?
Yeah,
Every day when you brush your teeth, and you never get too busy to brush your teeth.
right. Well,
You will
hopefully not.
never, you should never get too busy. I've never met, people say, I'm so busy, I got too busy to do this thing. I'm like, oh, you're too busy. Did you get too
Right.
busy to brush your teeth? No, it's not about busyness. It's about priority and remembering to do it. So I love
Yeah.
it. Every time when you brush your teeth, listen to it, rehearse it,
Yeah.
go over that same thing, make it a ritual. You don't brush your
Yeah.
teeth without your mind engaging in this pattern that is helping not only keep your teeth clean, keep your mind clean, and keep you moving the
Yeah.
direction you want to go.
Yes. And either in the beginning of the day or the end of the day, perfect. So your brain is open to receiving. Guys, enjoy the week and the weekend. Kevin, thank you so much for joining or just
Cheers.
building this and creating this community or this platform for us. I
Yeah.
mean, we just kind of did this. And so I feel like this is, we're just kind of like giving it all to everyone, which is so cool. But yeah, this is amazing. This is
Be your
amazing.
best self.
Yes. Be
Cheers.
your best self. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.